looked at the classroom before the children arrived. The room was bright with morning light coming through the windows. Desks were arranged in a circle, a way that made all students equal. She had taught here for 8 years. This school was her life. Today would be different. She did not know it yet. The colony on 442B was peaceful. Humans had built it 10 years ago. They created homes, farms, workshops, and schools. The mining facility worked on the far side of the colony, far enough that no one heard the machines. Life moved slowly and safe here, had come here to escape a crowded Earth. She found peace instead. The door opened. Human children came first. They were between 6 and 8 years old. Their names were Emma, Daniel, and others. They talked loudly and pushed each other in the way children do. They were normal. They were alive with the kind of energy that made teaching hard but meaningful. Then came the younglings. They entered quietly. Their bodies were shaped like humans but made of something else. Their skin looked like clear crystal with light moving inside it. Colors shifted through their forms, blues and purples and greens. They made no sound when they walked. Their eyes were large and empty of emotion. These were the children of the superior beings that had technology that could destroy stars. They had lived for thousands of years when humans still hunted with spears. The children sat separately, not because the school separated them, but because they chose to stay apart. The human children sensed this. No one tried to play with them. Greeted everyone. Her voice was warm but not weak. She was a strong woman. Her body was muscled from work. Her face was burned brown from the sun outside. She wore simple clothes. She did not try to be like she was human, and she was proud of it. The morning lesson was mathematics, taught numbers by using stones and seeds. She showed how to count, how to add, how to think with numbers. The human children grabbed the stones and played with them. They asked questions that did not matter. They laughed. Emma dropped stones on purpose just to hear them hit the floor. The children did not play. They watched. Their large eyes never left movements. When she wrote numbers on the board, they them perfectly without being asked. They understood everything the first time. Their minds were faster than human minds. Everyone knew this. Noticed one youngling watching more than watching her. The crystal inside its form pulsed with red color. Red meant something, did not know what. She made a note to ask the teachers later. At midday, the colony alarm would sound for a meal break. Had packed food in her bag. The human children would eat together. The children would go to a special place to absorb energy from machines. They did not eat food like humans did. But the alarm did not sound at midday. Around the middle of the day, felt something wrong. The floor shook, not like an earthquake, like a heavy machine moving near them. She stopped the lesson. All the children felt it too. The human children looked scared. Emma moved closer too. The younglings moved together. Their forms became darker, colors draining toward black and gray. It was a defensive response. Had learned this from the teachers. When danger came, their species went hard and dark and still. It was a way to survive. It had kept them safe for thousands of years. "Stay calm," said. Her voice did not shake. "It is probably the mining equipment moving." The shaking stopped. Everything was normal again. Waited. The younglings stayed dark for a moment longer, then colors returned to their forms. The colony had been safe for 5 years. No accidents, no disasters. People forgot that accidents could happen. The administrator had cut the budget for safety equipment. The mining facility had not been checked in many months. Things that were broken were left broken. Resumed the lesson, but she was not thinking about numbers anymore. She was thinking about the shaking. She was thinking about the sound it made. It was not normal. An hour later, the shaking came again. This time it was stronger. It lasted longer. One of the desks fell over, screamed. The younglings turned dark again, but this time they stayed dark. Their forms became harder, more rigid. They were afraid, had never seen them afraid before. She looked out the window toward the mining facility. The sky looked wrong. The clouds were moving in a way that was not natural. Something was burning. Smoke was rising. Knew what this was. She had studied disaster information when she first arrived at the colony. She knew that mining facilities could explode. She knew about pressure and heat and chemical reactions. She knew that if it was happening, it could reach the school. The school was not far enough away. She counted the children. 30 total. 18 human children. 12 younglings. All of them were looking at her now. All of them were waiting for her to tell them what to do. Moved fast. She told the human children to sit in the center of the room, away from the windows. She told the younglings to go to the corners. She was trying to remember the protocol. She was trying to think. The shaking was getting worse. The building made a sound like something breaking. Long cracks appeared in the walls. The ceiling made a sound like a warning. His hands were shaking now, but her mind was clear. She knew what was happening. The explosion was coming. She could feel it in the ground. She could hear it in the distance. It was a sound that grew louder every second. The children were quiet now. They understood. They understood that something very wrong was coming and that no one could stop it. Even the younglings, with all their intelligence and technology, could do nothing. They were children. They were trapped. The explosion came without warning, but had heard it coming. She had felt it in the ground. She had seen it in the sky. When the ceiling above the classroom began to fall, she was already moving. Her body was positioned over the group of children. Her arms were spread wide. Her legs braced against the floor. She looked up at the metal beams and concrete panels falling toward them. Her mind processed what was happening very clearly. She would not survive this. She knew that. She accepted it. The noise was the loudest sound she had ever heard. It filled everything. It was the sound of metal tearing, concrete breaking, and the deep rumble of forces she could not fight. Dust rushed through the air like a living thing. Windows shattered into small pieces. The floor shook so hard that it felt like the world was breaking. Something hit her left shoulder. Pain exploded through her body, not sharp pain, but deep pain that filled her entire side. Her bones felt like they were snapping. She did not scream. She did not move. She kept her arms spread. More weight came down on her. She felt her left leg bend in a way that legs do not bend. She felt ribs break. The pain was so complete that it seemed to erase everything else. There was only pain. There was nothing but pain. Then there was darkness. But the children were still alive. Under her body, they stayed safe. The metal beams that fell did not crush them. They bent and twisted around her. The rubble formed a pocket, a space where the children could breathe. The dust settled around them like a blanket. They were covered and safe and alive. The mining facility was gone. The explosion had torn it apart. The shockwave had damaged buildings across the colony. The school building was broken. Part of it had collapsed. But in that one classroom, under the weight of the falling ceiling, 30 children lived. It took 3 hours for the rescue team to find them. 3 hours of digging through rubble. 3 hours of searching through the dust and broken things. When they found the children, they found first. She was at the bottom of the rubble, crushed under metal and concrete and stone. Her body was twisted and broken. Blood was everywhere. Her left side did not look like it belonged to a living person. The rescue workers thought she was dead. They were surprised to find a pulse. The children were uncovered next. All of them, all 30, every single one was alive. Some were hurt with small cuts and bruises. Some were shaking with fear, but none of them had serious injuries. None of them would die. It was impossible. The rubble should have crushed them. The falling ceiling should have killed them all. Was carried on a stretcher to the medical facility. The medical team did not think she would live long enough to reach the hospital, but she did. She lived. Dr. Harrison was the head doctor. He was a tall man with gray in his hair. He had seen many injuries in his time as a doctor. He had seen people broken by accidents and disease, but he had never seen anyone survive what had survived. Her entire left side was crushed. Her shoulder joint was destroyed. 3 ribs were broken. Her left leg was fractured in 2 places. Internal bleeding had started but was not catastrophic. Her spine was intact. Somehow, incredibly, her spine was intact. The medical team worked through the night. They stopped the bleeding. They set the bones. They cleaned the wounds. They did everything they could, but they expected her to die from shock. They expected her organs to fail. They expected her to get an infection that would kill her. She did not die. By the second day, something strange was happening. The bleeding had stopped completely. The areas around her wounds were healing faster than normal. The skin was closing. The bones were mending. It was not possible, but it was happening. By the 3rd day, woke up. Her eyes opened slowly. The room was bright. Machines beeped around her. She could feel pain, but it was fatting. Her whole body felt heavy, but she could move her fingers. She could move her right arm. Dr. Harrison came to her bedside. His face was confused. He looked at the medical scans in his hands. He looked back at the scans. "You should not be alive," he said. The children asked. Her voice was rough. "All alive, all safe, all because of you." Tried to smile, but pain stopped her. "Then I am happy to be alive." Dr. Harrison shook his head. "Your injuries were catastrophic, lethal. I do not understand how your body is healing like this. It is not normal human healing. It is accelerated, increased. Everything about your recovery is wrong according to medical science. Did not answer. She closed her eyes and slept. Over the next days, the delegation arrived at the medical facility. They came to see the children. They came to see the school. They came to see. The leader was named Eth. He was ancient even by standards. His form was larger. T3 days after waking, could sit up in her medical bed. Her body was still broken, still healing, but the pain was manageable now. She had asked to see the children. The hospital had let her see them one by one. Came first, his left arm was in a bandage, but he was smiling. When he saw, tears came to his eyes. He did not cry, he just let the tears fall while he smiled. "You saved us," he said. Reached out her right hand and held his small hand. "I did what I had to do." Emma came next, then Daniel. Then each child told her that they were safe. Each child thanked her. She had protected them. She had chosen to take the pain so they would not have to. The younglings came in a group. They moved quietly the way they always did, but their colors were different now. They pulsed with warm colors, not the cold colors from before. The one that had looked at came forward. Its name was. "You are different from what we were taught," said. "We were told humans were simple creatures. We were told your purpose was to serve advanced species. We were told you had no value." "And now," asked. "Now I know those things were lies." After the children left, the researcher came. Her name was Dr. Ara. She carried medical equipment that looked nothing like human medical equipment. It was made of crystal and glowed with soft light. "We would like to study you," she said. "Not to hurt you, to understand." "Understand what?" asked. "How a human body survived impossible damage. How your healing is accelerated beyond normal parameters. Your species has something we do not understand." Over the following weeks healed. Her bones mended, her skin closed, the scars faded. The pain went away. She was stronger now than before, though she could not explain why. Dr. Ara ran tests. She took blood samples. She studied cellular structures. She worked with Dr. Harrison. Together, they discovered something that changed everything. Humans had a protective response that was built into their biology. It was ancient, from when humans lived on Earth, a harsh world where survival required extreme measures. When faced with threats to those weaker than themselves, human bodies could release special compounds. These compounds made bones denser. These compounds made healing faster. These compounds let pain be tolerated better. It was not a superpower. It was not magic. It was simply human nature encoded in human DNA over millions of years. "Your species evolved on a world of predators and danger," Dr. Ara explained. "You developed the ability to sacrifice yourself to protect others. It became part of your body. You did not choose to be strong enough to shield those children. Your body chose it. Your body knew what to do." "The do not have this?" asked. "No, we engineered ourselves to be superior, but we removed things we thought were weaknesses. We removed the need to protect the young at cost to ourselves. We removed sacrifice. We removed mercy. We are stronger, but we are also alone." Dr. Ara showed scans of her own cells. They were changing. They were stronger. They were healing from the inside out. "You will recover completely. Your body is already almost healed. When you leave this hospital, you will be stronger than most humans. This protective response, once activated, sometimes changes the body permanently." Looked at the scans. She thought about the children. She thought about Emma, and she thought about what she had chosen to do. "I would do it again," she said. "We know," Dr. Ara said. "That is why your species is important. That is why we were wrong about you." The story of what did spread through the colony. It spread through other human settlements. It spread across human worlds. News traveled on radio waves. Messages were sent through quantum communicators. Within weeks, everyone knew about the teacher who had shielded a class during an explosion. But the real change was happening in space. The data that Dr. Ara collected was sent to the home world. Scientific papers were published. The leadership began to understand that humans were not simple creatures. Humans were beings with deep purpose. Humans had evolved to be guardians and protectors. They had been wrong. They had been wrong for a long time. A month after the explosion was released from the hospital. Her body was healed. Her scars 6 weeks after the explosion, the school was repaired. The roof was replaced. The walls were reinforced. New desks were brought in. The room looked almost the same as it had before, but everyone knew it was different now. Return to teaching. The human children cheered when she walked through the door. They hugged her. They did not let her go until she promised she was really staying. The younglings were different too. They no longer separated themselves, sat at a desk with an Emma. The other younglings sat with human children. They talked about what they had learned. They asked questions. They played together. Taught her lessons, but now the lessons included stories. She told the children about humans who had chosen to be brave. She told them about humans who had sacrificed. She told them about people who had chosen to protect others, even when it was hard. The human children listened. The younglings listened. And they began to understand that humans were not weak at all. Humans were different from but different did not mean weaker. News reached the colony from the home world. The leadership had made a decision. They were creating a new category of species. They called it the species of covenant protection. Humans were the first species to receive this title. It meant that humans were recognized as beings with deep purpose. It meant that human sacrifice and protection were valued. It meant that humans were no longer considered inferior by the sent a special gift to the school. It was made of crystal the way things were made. It was a plaque. An inscription was etched into the crystal in perfect human writing. It read, "Of humanity, she shielded the class and taught the stars what sacrifice means." The plaque was hung on the classroom wall where all the children could see it. When looked at it, she did not feel proud. She felt responsible. She felt like the bridge between two species. She felt like she had shown that humans were more than the thought. Dr. Ara visited the school one final time. She brought data with her. The data showed the genetic changes that had happened in Spotty. They showed how human protective response worked. They showed that what had done was not impossible at all. It was simply human. "Your story is spreading," Dr. Ara said. "Not just through human space, through space too. You have shown us something we lost long ago. You have shown us what it means to choose the weak over the strong, to choose sacrifice over safety." "Does it matter?" asked. "Yes, our leadership is reconsidering many things. We are reconsidering how we view other species. We are reconsidering whether strength is the only thing that matters." That night, a transmission was sent from the home world. It was directed at all human settlements, all human worlds. It was a formal recognition from the leadership. The message said, "We acknowledge that we were wrong. Humanity is not weak. Humanity is not simple. Humanity possesses something we lost and can never recover. You possess the ability to choose sacrifice. You possess the ability to protect those weaker than yourself. You possess moral courage that technology cannot create. We honor you for this. We recognize you as equals. We offer you alliance based on mutual respect." 1 month later, life had changed completely. The colony on 442B was no longer just a human settlement. It was a place where humans lived together, learned together, and worked together. The school was the center of this change. Its classroom had become famous. Teachers from other planets came to see it. They came to understand what had happened. They came to learn from a woman who had changed how an entire species thought about humanity. But did not feel like she had done anything extraordinary. She had protected children. That was what humans did. That was what mothers and teachers and protectors did. She had simply followed her nature. The human children and younglings were friends now, true friends. They did not see difference as something that separated them. They saw it as something that made them stronger together. And were inseparable. They spent their time drawing pictures and telling stories. They talked about what they would do when they grew up, wanted to be an explorer, wanted to be a scientist. They wanted to do these things together. Emma had become friends with a youngling named. They played games that combined human rules with logic, helped Emma with mathematics. Emma helped understand what it meant to play just for the joy of playing. Watched all of this from her desk. She watched the future being created in her classroom. She watched children of two different species learning that they could trust each other, that they could help each other, that they could be better together than apart. The colony administrator came to visit the school. His name was David Cooper. He was an important man, but he stood in the doorway like a simple visitor. He said, "The colony wants to build a memorial, a place where people can remember the day you saved those children, a place where we can remember that humans and learn to respect each other." "I do not need a memorial," said. "It is not for you," David said. "It is for everyone. It is to remember what is possible when people choose to protect each other instead of compete with each other." Agreed, the memorial was built on the edge of the school grounds. It was made of both human materials and crystal. It was beautiful. It showed the moment of the explosion and showed shielding the children. It showed the children safe under her protection. It showed the future possibility. The dedication ceremony happened on a clear day. The sky was blue, the wind was gentle, people from all over the colony came, humans, and stood together. Eth spoke, the ancient leader looked at the memorial and then looked at. For thousands of years we believed that being advanced meant being superior. We believed that serving only ourselves made us strong. We were wrong. This human woman showed us that strength is not the same as power, protection is not weakness, sacrifice is not failure. Humanity has these things, we want to learn them. Then spoke, her voice was strong and clear. I did not save those children because they were worth more than me. I saved them because they were young. They had their whole lives ahead of them. That was all the reason I needed. It is not about species or technology or power. It is about what we choose to do when someone needs help. After the ceremony, the children played near the memorial, showed how to make designs in the dirt, showed how to see patterns in the way light moved through crystal. They played together like any children anywhere. Stood with Dr. Harrison and Dr. Aura. They looked at the children and then at the memorial. What happens now? Dr. Harrison asked. Now, Dr. Aura said, we change, we learn. We remember that we are not the only advanced species in the galaxy, and perhaps not the only species that matters. The news continued to spread. His name became known on dozens of worlds. She received messages from people she had never met. They told her that her story had changed them, that it had made them think differently about what was important. But stayed in her classroom. She taught children. She protected them. She showed them that humans could be strong and kind, that sacrifice was not weakness, that choosing to protect others was the highest form of strength. The galaxy was changing. It was changing because one teacher had chosen to stand between danger and those who could not protect themselves. It was changing because she had shown what humans truly were. And in a small classroom on a colony world, children of two different species learned to work together, to trust each other, and to understand that the future belonged to those who chose compassion over power. Looked at the plaque on her classroom wall. The words written in crystal seemed to catch the light in new ways. She read them again. Of humanity, she shielded the class and taught the stars what sacrifice means. She was not a legend in her own mind. She was just a woman who had done what needed to be done. But to others, she was the moment when everything changed. She was the teacher who had shown the galaxy that humanity mattered. She was the bridge between species. And in the years to come, that moment would be remembered. That choice would echo across worlds. That act of protection would change history. Because sometimes one person is enough. Sometimes one choice is enough. Sometimes one human is enough to change everything. The message spread through every human world. It was read in homes and schools and meeting places. It changed how humans saw themselves. It changed how humans saw their place in the galaxy. Ad faded to thin lines. She walked with strength. She felt alive in a way she had never felt before. She wanted to return to teaching. Han the younglings. Colors moved through his body in complex patterns. When he spoke, it was with a voice like wind through crystal. He looked at on her medical bed. He looked at the scans that showed her injuries. He looked at the current scans that showed healing that should not be possible. The human female protected our young, Eth said. She saved their lives, Dr. Harrison said. Eth was silent for a long time. His form flickered with colors. We did not believe humans capable of this. We believed you weak. We believed you fragile. We believed your lives had little value. And now, Dr. Harrison asked, now we understand that we were wrong about everything. Looked at them all. She looked at Emma. She looked at each small face, each small life that depended on what happened next. She looked at the younglings, their forms flickering between colors and darkness, their fear making them look almost like the human children now. Then she made a choice. She moved to the center of the room. She stood over all the children, arms spread wide. She positioned her body to cover as much space as possible. She became a shield. She became the thing between them and whatever was coming. The shaking became violent. The ceiling above them began to fall.